Hello and welcome back to Good Afternoon Britain with your hosts Tom and Steve. Later on in the show, we'll be joined by Don't Bottle It, a group of passionate students who are shining some light on the dangers of PET bottles and undertake the challenge to change public behaviour and ultimately defeat plastic pollution. Before we're joined by them, let's go through the history of these bottles and some of their main dangers to appreciate the scale of this issue. Polyethylene terephthalate, known for its convenience, durability and versatility, has marked a pivotal moment in plastic pollution history. The exponential growth of single-use PET bottle is staggering. With over 13 billion PET bottles used yearly in the United Kingdom alone and only 7.5 billion recycled, plastic pollution is proving to be a detrimental force against our planet. Incineration, landfill and litter are now becoming everyday terms associated with PET plastic. Taking over 500 years to decompose, this mismanagement does not only threaten wildlife in our oceans, but it also poses an indirect, lethal threat to ourselves. When plastic is decomposing, it breaks down into microplastics. These are tiny fragments of plastic that make their way into our oceans, rivers, environment, and ultimately our food chain. This ingestion releases toxins reported to increase risk of cancer, cardiovascular diseases, and reproductive disorders. The devastating short-term and long-term environmental and societal impacts underlines the need to challenge the status quo and shift our behavioral patterns to curb our consumption. But how? We're now joined by Alicia, who will discuss the ways in which Don't Bottle It aims to raise awareness and reduce the impacts of PET bottle pollution. What is starting with King's College London staff members will hopefully transform into the world.
Thank you, Steve, for having me on your show. To start off, let's discuss the dominant social paradigm. This defines the traditional belief, value and norms of marketplace actors and is arguably the root of ecological issues. Today, consumer demands are ever increasing and never satisfied, leading to an ecological overshoot. So I'm sure that many viewers won't be aware of what an ecological overshoot is. It's when resources are consumed quicker than the regenerative capacity of the natural ecosystem. Overshoot Day marks the date in which demand for ecological resources exceeds this regeneration, and in 2020 it was the 22nd of August. Transitions towards sustainable lifestyles pose a direct threat to this dominant social paradigm and supports a shift towards a new ecological paradigm, which adopts a pro-ecological view to impose environmental accountability. As such, our aim is to achieve a circular economy and shift society towards a pro-ecological paradigm, starting with plastic bottle pollution. The circular economy provides an alternative consumptive model to the traditional extract, produce, use, dump, flow model by implementing a restorative and/or regenerative economy. We encourage this through a cradle-to-cradle approach. Whilst we aim to primarily reduce plastic bottle use, we also hope to elongate its life cycle by regenerating it to lessen the strain on the Earth's natural resources. So how did we encourage a circular economy? According to the self-discrepancy theory, moving away from the dominant social paradigm requires a shift from an actual self attitude, which encourages wasteful consumption, to an ought-self attitude, which considers the wider environmental implications. Our delivery encompasses two main strategies: a social media campaign and personalised care packages to aid the shift towards a self-ought attitude. So, we have met with 5 King's staff members to familiarise them with the issues of plastic bottle pollution and implement our strategies to support the pro-ecological paradigm. Within these meetings, a video visualising the impacts of plastic bottle pollution with alarming statistics was played, along with a short survey so we could adapt our messages to suit their wants and needs. As changing behaviour can prove difficult, Don't Bottle It undertook a sincere, competent and exciting approach to ensure we were engaging and effective to motivate change. The norm activation model points to 3 antecedents of environmental behaviour: the awareness of consequences, the ascription of responsibility and personal norms. To encourage self-ought behaviour, our care packages and social media page purposely fulfilled these requirements. Firstly, responses to the video highlighted that staff did not appreciate the gravity of plastic bottle pollution. Based on these responses and answers to questions such as whether they used a reusable bottle, Don't Bottle It was able to decipher stances towards sustainability and note the most influential factors to motivate change to tailor our packages accordingly. Behaviours were categorised into 4 main types: favourable, aware, unaware and unfavourable. Pointing members towards our social media page allowed us to ensure that an awareness of consequences was met, with regular posts highlighting the impact of plastic bottle pollution. Our tailored care packages also ensured that staff members were aware of consequences. However, they focused particularly on personal norms and the ascription of responsibility to support change. For example, Ryan stated that she only recycled bottle caps, yet showed particular concern for her health. Therefore, her care package contained information regarding how to recycle plastic, microplastic found in ocean fish and thus our food chain, and the impact of polluted air. Prakriti expressed an awareness but inconvenience and heaviness of reusable bottles were barriers towards adoption. Therefore, easy ways to recycle and recommendations of light reusable bottles were suggested. Competitive altruism states that people are motivated to adopt sustainable behaviour when they gain an altruistic reputation, meaning when they're seen and benefit from their preferable behaviour. Therefore, to guarantee that staff members remained engaged and encourage change, we set up the 1 week Don't Bottle It challenge on our social media page. By sharing videos and photos of followers doing the challenge on our Instagram page, we were giving a platform to demonstrate altruistic behaviour and directly appeal to those who wanted to appear more sustainable. Thank you.
So, what have the group achieved thus far? Well, they've been very successful in informing participants and improving their awareness on the specific issues surrounding disposable PET bottles. Each participant had their own motivations, and the self-produced, tailored infographic care packages addressed their individual stances on sustainable behaviour. For example, Stephanie had revealed herself as sustainable, with younger family members who were not.
I mean, it's terribly important. I've got a grandson who is 4, and he is a sustainability champion of his class. And every class has a sustainability champion, and he had to give a little speech about what he thought about things. And I thought, it's really impressive. This is in a state primary school, so, they're really trying hard. But at that age, they are already doing it. So important. Really so important.
Therefore, they focused on the ways that she could influence her peers and produced infographics suitable for a younger audience. This kind of personalised social marketing has been shown to significantly reduce unsustainable behaviours in individuals and was particularly effective in engaging KCL staff, promoting the long-term voluntary changes towards sustainable habits. The group have also succeeded in applying elements of protection motivation theory, focusing on the immediate risks to humans and local environments, framing the issue as current and severe with intuitive preventative behaviours, in contrast to the current framing in which sustainability is seen as an obstacle for future generations to overcome. This resonated so much with one participant who bought a SodaStream the day after a meeting, eliminating their future need for plastic bottles entirely and taking a major step towards becoming their ought self. With regards to KCL business students, the use of operant conditioning motivated them to engage with posts. For example, they utilised positive reinforcement theory by rewarding those who competed in the challenge. Though this standalone competition does not guarantee change in their attitudes towards PET bottles, it is the beginning of building rapport with over 300 followers as more challenges are introduced in the future. As a result of their survey and social media presence, they efficiently addressed and motivated individual sustainable changes within the KCL community.
However, Don't Bottle It has faced a number of challenges. Firstly, due to physical separation from the participants, as this limited their ability to monitor and motivate changes in behaviour in the same physical space. For example, having a stall on KCL campus to promote their cause and develop engagement through natural conversation might have been beneficial. Secondly, a common issue was the inconvenience associated with reusable water bottles. Though cost was a minor aspect, the majority of the burden was communicated the inconvenience of carrying a reusable bottle all day and the difficulty in finding a water source to refill them. All of these issues motivated individual behaviour but could not be mitigated individually, requiring a level of institutional or systemic change that the group could not address. Thirdly, the implementation of a survey to gather positions on sustainability is likely to have prompted social desirability bias, where respondents over-report socially desirable behaviour and under-report undesirable views. For example, no participants labelled themselves as viewing sustainability unfavourably. This potential response bias might have negatively impacted the implementation of their tailor-made approach. Finally, their attempt to activate competitive altruism through a public competition was limited by many staff members not using the platform, and thus being unable to view and enter. As such, it did not have the desired impact of motivating respondents despite wider involvement from the public. Launching the competition on a different platform such as LinkedIn would have potentially increased the efficacy of their campaign, enabling participants to promote their altruistic behaviour to their network. See you back in the studio for an interview with the CEO.
We are now joined in the studio by Natalia. Natalia, thank you for being here.
Hello, and thank you for having me.
Do you have any other insights into how we can motivate our viewers to be more sustainable?
So recycling and reducing our daily use of single-use plastics does not have instant gratification, but our video was very successful. It showed how important visual stimulations and facts are. So here I recommend people watching some factual documentaries such as Seasphere on Netflix. The show tackles difficult truths and shows the effects of plastics in the ocean. These types of shows can help us raise awareness of how our everyday lives are impacting the future. A more practical recommendation is for companies to carry out and introduce a 50p to £1 surcharge per plastic bottle. So these bottles would be returned by customers as recycling the bottle, and here people would be encouraged to bring them back and they'd get instant gratification of getting the surcharge back, even though obviously they paid a bit more for the bottle. This could trigger a response as well of bringing your own reusable bottle, as people might not want to be paying that much, and reusable bottles are key to reducing plastic. So the encouragement of having reusable bottles needs to be supported by having water fountains. This is something available in Paris and it's successful. Introducing water fountains is a large and long-term investment for the government, but it will also impact how much plastic we use. This idea has already been proposed by the Mayor of London, showing that it has some momentum to it, but it just needs to be pushed further. The use of reusable bottles needs to be supported by water outlets, as it will make carrying reusable bottles worthwhile. Finally, social media trends will really push awareness of plastic usage. The rise of the popularity of the Starbucks cold brew cup has really been seen during COVID-19. This cup has become the new must-have accessory over a water bottle. It's cheap and it's sleek. It's just showing how important it is to utilise social media. They could even create a social media account of where this cup is going and sharing the reusable message. The social media is very key and a way we want to move forward, especially since sharing important messages. Thank you for having me, and I hope all that helped.
Well, I'm afraid that's all we have time for on this special segment of Good Afternoon Britain. Stay safe and don't bottle it.
It dawns on me like this is a huge issue.
I don't think I was shocked at anything. It's just that I was under the impression a little more was compostable or recyclable. The proportion of things that actually ended up not being recycled.
And when I reflect on the plastic bottles that are in use in my house, actually I'm like, I could see how that number could get so high pretty quickly.
I don't feel surprised. I didn't know the numbers, but they are sobering. So I also feel sobered somehow.
One of my daughters, they buy so many plastic bottles and they just chuck them. And I said, this is just terrible. Why don't you get a water filter and fill them up? And they said, no, it's not hygienic. And I just go there and I hate it because they have packs and packs of these water bottles. And,
Yes.
Ones. It's just mad. It just is mad.
I love a seal, so seeing a seal suffer was a bit stressful. Yeah, I was. I thought that more bottles would be being recycled, to be honest.
Maybe not shocked because I have seen similar films or statistics or numbers.
Not really. No, I'm sort of aware of a lot of this anyway, so no, not shocking. But I don't remember these numbers at the top of my head, but I know it's substantial.
I didn't know that the UK uses that much, that many plastic bottles. We're talking about 7 million.
Eating microplastic, there is quite a discussion about it also in Germany, where I originally come from.
It's always in the back of my mind whenever I'm opening the bottle, is that these microplastics will go into the water that I'm drinking.
That was wild to me.
Yeah, so it's actually estimated that I think for each human we've estimated digested 11,000 microplastics